Welcome to Love You Literature. In today's lecture, we will discuss Marxism in literature in general. Before going to the discussion, let me allow to say few words about Marxism. Marxism is understood as a philosophy of history. It is an attempt to formulate a scientific theory of human societies. It suggests a program of political action for bringing about the expected change in society by making free the society from exploitation and tyranny. In fact, the founders of this theory, Karl Marx and Engels, did not relate their economic and political theories to the problems of aesthetics. However, it should be remembered that Marx himself was a man of letters and a scientific critic. Before Marx, attempts had been made to account for literary works in terms of political and social conditions. These political and social conditions had produced literary works. In order to understand the Marxist view of literature, it is necessary to take into account the relationship between literature and life, literature and society, and literature and social, political, and economic conditions. In this regard, the terms like base and superstructure, ideology, socialist realism are of a greater help here for having a clearer sense of the relationship between Marxism and literature. From this point of view, in this lecture, I propose to analyze these concepts and literary views of different Marxist thinkers in connection with these concepts. It will help us to know the reflection of Marxist philosophy in literature. Hence, our lecture is divided into three parts. First, different Marxist concepts. Second, Marxist views of literature. And third, Marxism literature. First, we will focus on different Marxist concepts. First, the main important concept, the base and superstructure model. Marx held a view that the social relationship between men are bound up with the way they produce their material life. In Middle Age, certain productive forces had the social relations of villain to lord. It is known as feudalism. Afterwards, we see the development of new modes of productive organization. It is based on a changed set of social relations. It gave rise to the capitalist class and the proletarian class. The capitalist class owns the means of production, and the proletarian class, whose labor power the capitalist buys for his own profit. In the opinion of Marx, these forces and relations of production form the economic structure of society. The Marxist philosophy recognizes it as the economic base or infrastructure. The base is the economic system on which the superstructure rests. In every period, we come across the emergence of superstructure from economic base. Thus, in the words of an Indian critic, Mr. Sethuraman, early Marxists used the terms base to refer the economic system prevailing in a given society at a given time, and the term superstructure refers to its politics, religion, art, and philosophy. In the category of superstructure, Mr. Terry Eagleton includes some more concepts such as certain forms of law, politics, a certain kind of state whose essential function is to legitimate the power of the social class which owns the means of economic production. Hope you understand the idea of base and superstructure. Now we will move on to ideology. Generally, we construe ideology as the way of men's living, their notions, values and ideas which bind them to their social functions. Marx believes that since the superstructure is determined by the base, it inevitably supports the ideologies of the base. Ideologies are the changing ideas, values and feelings through which individuals experience their society. Ideology includes dominant ideas, values of the beliefs of society as a whole. It prevents individuals from seeing how society actually functions. Literature is a cultural production. As a cultural production, it is a form of ideology. It legitimizes the power and dominance of the ruling class. Mr. Terry Eagleton supports the view in his argument when he remarks that literary works are not merely parts of mistress inspiration or author's psychology. On the contrary, they are forms of perception. They are particular ways of seeing the world. They have a relation to the dominant way of seeing the world. He further opines that such a dominant way of seeing the world is the social mentality or ideology of an age. In fact, ideology is the product of the concrete social relation into which men enter at a particular time and place. It is the way which makes to experience those class relations. It also legitimizes and perpetuates those class relations. According to ideology, men are not free to choose their social relations. They are restricted into these social relations by material necessity or by the nature of their mode of economic production. While explaining the meaning of ideology at a wide level, Terry Eagleton expresses his view that we understand the texts like King Lear, the Dunciad and Ulysses not only by the way of interpreting their symbolism, studying their literary history and adding footnotes about sociological facts which enter into those texts of literature. At first, we have to understand the complete indirect relations between those works and the ideological world they inhabit. Their indirect relations emerged not only in their themes and preoccupations but in style, rhythm, quality and form also. For us, it is not possible to understand ideology without grasping the part it plays in a society as a whole. We have to understand how ideology consists of a definite historically relative structure of perception which underpins the power of a particular social class. The task is not easy because ideology is never a simple reflection of a ruling class's ideas. On the contrary, it is always a complex phenomenon and it may incorporate conflicting, even contradictory views of the world. Thus, for understanding ideology, it is necessary to analyze the precise relation between different classes in a society and also where those classes stand in relation to the mode of production. Thus, literature, ideology or art is supposed to reject or mirror dominant ideologies. Then we jump upon another important term, social realism. In accordance with these views expressed about ideology, some critics look upon literature in any historical era as production of the economic and ideological determinants specific to that era. They don't take literature anymore as works created in accordance with the timeless artistic criteria. Some Marxist critics use the term vulgar Marxism for analyzing a bourgeois literary work as in direct correlation with the present stage of class structure. They expect that such works should be replaced by social realism that will represent the true reality and progressive forces of the time. In this regard, Terry Eagleton says, ideology is not in the first place a set of doctrines. It signifies the way men live out their roles in class society. The values, ideas and images which tie them to their social functions and so prevent them from a true knowledge of society as a whole. Here, Eagleton points out that works of literature are just expressions of the ideology of their time. He also opines that all art springs from an ideological conception of the world and there is no work of art which is entirely far away from the content of ideology. In this sense, the work of literature are, in the words of Eagleton, prisoners of the false consciousness, unable to reach beyond it to arrive at the truth. The concept of vulgar Marxist criticism sees literary works as reflection of the dominant ideologies. However, it can't explain why literature actually challenges the ideological assumptions of its time. It is a fact that so much literature challenges the ideology it confronts and makes this a part of the definition of literary art itself. In his book Art Against Ideology, Ernest Fischer gives his view about authentic art. He says true art or authentic art always transcends the ideological limits of the time. It takes us into the realities which ideology hides from us. Thus, some Marxist critics look upon ideology as cut off from social realism or truth. Then, what is social realism? In order to understand clearly the Marxist view of literature, like concept of ideology, it is essential to comprehend the term socialist realism, because most of the Marxist critics have taken for granted social realism as the basis of literature or the very foundation of literature. In the book Marxists on Literature, David Craig explains his view about social realism. In the opinion of Craig, for Western readers, social realism means little more than the novels and plays which Soviet writers produced to the orders of the government. It is a type of art which highlights the good features of Soviet life and neglects the malignant ones. David Craig is of the view that Marxists have always tried to show that the workers of the world are instrumental in overthrowing existing social system. So, for the writer, it is necessary to describe the working class people, their language, their idiom, their views, emotions and typical experiences, their life, their lifestyle, etc., which have been hitherto neglected in literature due to the preference of the writers or the concentration of the writers on the reflection of ideology in literature. Socialist realism must draw upon the culture of the workers and peasants in order to rise to its historical task and make a new sort of art which will create a new way of life. For the inclusion of the working class in literature, Craig agrees with the view of Mao Zedong, the Chinese communist leader, who comments that the artist must know and understand the people, the masses of the people and their language. They must go into the midst of the masses of the workers, peasants and soldiers. Dong further says that our writers and artists must go into fiery struggles. They must study and analyze all men, all class, all kinds of people, all the vivid patterns of life and all raw material of art and literature before they undertake their creation. Otherwise, they will simply empty-headed artists and writers. The famous Marxist critics Bertolt Brecht and George Lucas have expressed their views of social realism, which are in close agreement with the view of Mao Zedong and other Marxist critics. That's all. Hope this class will help you to understand the basic concepts of Marxism. In the next class, we will discuss Marxist views of literature and Marxism in literature. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.